And Spider-Man Doomsday, is it going to be delayed too? What are the advantages and disadvantages, and what are the chances of that happening? After the intro, let's try to analyze it. Hold on. Hello, Pop Culture Society, we're back. Let's talk about Spider-Man Brand New Day. New Spider-Man movie. We're already on the fourth film in the version played by Tom Holland. That was a shock, right? The people at Sony, if they weren't well informed, were really surprised. Because they were thinking about putting Spider-Man in the middle of Doomsday and Secret Wars, and then Doomsday goes to the end of the year, and not in the middle of the year. Maybe it would be a relief for Sony because this Sony Spider-Man would premiere 2 months after Doomsday. Maybe Doomsday would still be in theaters when Spider-Man premieres. That would mess up the end of Doomsday's run because everyone would start talking about Spider-Man. And maybe it would even hurt Spider-Man's box office in a way. Maybe Pessoa Nason was even relieved to remove a competitor from a close date, or not. Or maybe the guys say, man, we were planning this movie for the middle, to guarantee a post-credit scene, to do some marketing, to keep it between the two movies, to do what Captain Marvel did, a big box office, using the Avengers movies as a springboard. They're going to lose that. Well, it's true, that could also happen. So what's the solution for that? Putting Spider-Man in February, which is a date that worked really well for Black Panther and Deadpool. That February date had good box office numbers that month, and you can get Spider-Man back into the mix. Here's what I think. If the Spider-Man script really needs to take place after Doomsday, because of what happens in Doomsday, somehow the writers working on Spider-Man know what happens in Doomsday. In general terms, and they're counting on that in the story, not in the marketing, in the story. It's important that we have this step there. Now we're in trouble because they're going to have to rewrite the story like they did with Spider-Man, No Way Home. And maybe they won't have the same luck that Spider-Man, No Way Home had, which was bringing together the three Spider-Men. And that's what sold the movie, because Spider-Man, No Way Home took place after Doctor Strange. Was in the madness, and the movies got switched, and then we had to make certain changes that ended up feeling a bit forced, a bit improvised, and that hurt the movie in a way. Not that it caused a loss, far from me to suggest that here, but it could have been a better movie if it weren't for that rush to adapt the script under those conditions at the time. So, if Spider-Man has a script that requires Dr. Doomsday to have already happened, we have a problem. In fact, Marvel will also start pressuring Sony to change the date to set it 3 months later on the other side. Now, if it's an independent movie, if it's a movie that, despite having those multiversal crazinesses that Sony wanted to do or not, or if it's a movie absolutely outside the chronology, like Ant-Man and the Wasp, for example, the second one, right? It takes place between Infinity War and Endgame. But only the very end connects with Endgame, which is when the Wasp and the old characters from the movie, Wasp, Hank, and Janet, disappear and leave Scott trapped inside the quantum realm, remember? That scene was important for Endgame, because Endgame starts right where it left off. But the whole movie takes place before Infinity War, so there was no problem. Sometimes Spider-Man will have this characteristic. Maybe only the very end is used to make a connection, but if you take out the ending, the movie is still complete. So the advantage of Spider-Man being postponed as well is directly connected to what they intend to do with this movie. I think that if they have to change the story of the movie, if they have to rewrite the script, certain important parts of the script to adapt to this new reality, it's better to postpone it. If not, keep the same date. Now we have another problem. It's a movie for July, a movie that hasn't even started filming yet, and we're already in June. What's going to be in this movie? Okay, Doomsday is a movie that has 60 characters, each with a different superpower. It's going to be chaos. It's going to be a nightmare for the special effects studios. Spider-Man might not have that many characters. And it could really be a more urban story, with more down-to-earth villains, without too many superpowers, without anything too over the top, without too many special effects. That makes the movie more dynamic. For them to be promising a July release, we can't have what happened with No Way Home, where they were still finishing special effects in the last few weeks. And I'll say more, the movie was updated after it was released. Spider-Man No Way Home was still showing in theaters, and Sony kept sending special effects updates. Whoever watched it on the first weekend saw an incomplete movie, or without the polish the studio wanted. This can't happen again. So hurry up, time is running out. If the guys can't get this movie on the assembly line, that's another reason it would be better to postpone it. Because there's the story about Tom Holland. Tom Holland is filming Nolan's Odyssey. Nolan isn't the director who usually shares space, so much so that he took all the IMAX theaters from Tom Cruise for the other Mission Impossible for Oppenheimer. If he demands Tom Holland's presence to shoot some extras, he won't care if Tom Holland is filming a spider or not, and if Tom Holland is in Avengers Doomsday in some way. It will also demand more time from the actor, maybe if he has more time to shoot. There isn't a production problem, and then Tom Holland can do it. Remember that Zendaya also doesn't have her schedule completely free. She's got a lot of projects on her plate too, to redo or remake. If she has to redo something for Shrek or redo something for Dune, speaking of Dune, Dune could even get delayed too, or maybe come out earlier, because Dune premieres on the same day as Avengers Doomsday. It moved to the same day as Dune Messiah, which became Doomsday. And since Dune is a movie that's basically already finished, I don't believe there's much to redo for Dune. It's a movie that sold its trilogy already closed, Warner already knew there would be 3 movies and moved everything forward that needed to be moved. I think Dune won't have production problems and it can be changed. Its date orbiting there to avoid Avengers without any problem, unless they really want to force a Doomsday or a Dune Messiah to create a 2-movie event at the same time, which would be a box office hit like Barbenheimer was, and in a way like Gladiator 2 with Wicked Glicket. The difference is that in both cases, there are 2 movies for different audiences. Here we're going to have 2 movies that are for exactly the same audience. Dune speaks directly to the Marvel movie. And that could be a problem. 2 Zendaya at the same time in theaters? How is it going to be? Where will Zendaya's fans go? And what do you think? Is it better to delay? Postpone Spider-Man Brand New Day or screw it? The movie can already be released. It doesn't depend on Marvel. If you don't put Spider-Man first, there's no problem. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll be back soon with more pop culture topics, and after the event, some channel options will pop up for you to click, and stay tuned with me. See you later, see you soon, see you in a bit, bye. Adriana Zanotto